Washington Pod presents EARL Nightingale.
When I was selling time on my own radio program in Chicago back in the 50s, I used to call on advertising agencies. I'd start out first thing in the morning, and I'd greet the receptionist with a big smile, announce myself, and say to the young woman, "And how are you today?" Without exception, I would get the reply, "I'm tired," and it was just 9 o'clock in the morning. How can people be tired already when they haven't even started working for the day? Of course, those young women were just remembering their lines. It was part of their culture to say, "I'm tired" in the morning. That was the sophisticated thing to say. That's getting back to the moving in crowds business. It's important to them that they all look and talk alike. But the fact is, they're not alike, really. No two of them are alike. Each is an original, never before seen upon planet Earth, with deep abilities and talents just lying dormant, waiting for the fertilization and irrigation of good ideas and enthusiasm to get them started growing. But their parents didn't tell them about that. They couldn't. They didn't know about it themselves. And their school teachers didn't tell them either. Do you remember when you first realized you were an independent, self-contained creature? I guess such a realization doesn't occur to everyone, but I remember when it came to me. I was a little kid walking on a sidewalk in front of our house in Los Angeles, California. As I walked along, it dawned on me all of a sudden that unlike the grass and trees and houses, I was free to move independently of anything else. I could walk around the entire block if I wanted to, and I did. And I knew at that moment that someday I could travel wherever I wanted to travel, anywhere on the face of the earth, although it didn't come to me in those words. It was a wonderful feeling, almost as good as flying, and it never left me. There's still much of the world that I haven't seen, but I feel that I still have plenty of time to see what I want to see and experience what I want to experience. Do you feel that way? Most people, especially the unsuccessful, live in tiny, tightly circumscribed worlds, just a neighborhood, really. Like sea anemones, they seem fastened to one place and manage to find sufficient nourishment for their needs. Here's one of the ridiculous comments I used to hear as a child when I would ask an adult if he or she was not interested in seeing other parts of the country. In those days, I wasn't even thinking about other parts of the world. They used to say in response, "I didn't lose anything there." That used to give me such a sinking feeling, as though the only reason anyone would ever go someplace different would be to find something he'd lost. Later, and much older, I realized it was their pet alibi for not having achieved the means to travel. Like the other alibis, like the boss wouldn't be happy if everything wasn't in triplicate, or only poor people are happy. That was one that I found particularly frustrating, even at a very early age. Why, I would ask myself over and over again, why wouldn't rich people be happy? It seemed to me they'd have every reason to be happy. Oh, and there was one for the people who went to college or otherwise got themselves a good education. This one went like this. "Oh, sure, he's got a college education, but he hasn't got enough sense to come in out of the rain." Did you ever hear that one? Did you find it to be as ridiculous as I did? It was an oxymoron, a non sequitur. If a person spent all that time getting an education, I would ask myself, why in the world wouldn't he have enough sense to come in out of the rain? I decided to find out. Successful people manage to be on top of things at least most of the time, and unsuccessful people do not. Things stay on top of them. They never take charge of their own lives and destiny. They don't set difficult goals for themselves. They don't seem to know enough. And of the great mountain range of information they don't have is the innocent fact that we become what we think about.